All right, folks, we're here. This is podcast number 4 of the Sundown After Dark show, and I want to. A lot of times I forget to ask, or I forget to tell people how much I thank them for viewing and listening, and so I want to make this little part for our fans, our listeners, our viewers. You know,
both of them.
There's many different ways now in which you can watch and listen to this show. Okay, it's not just on YouTube anymore. We've got it on. Let's see. I got it written down here. If you don't want to watch the show, maybe you don't want to listen. Maybe you don't want to, use up all your data on your your phone by watching YouTube. You can use. Let's see here. I got Spotify. We got Google Play Music, Stitcher, Radio Public, and Player.fm. I think there's a few others. We're still working on a few others right now, but if you're an avid podcast listener, or if you've got things like Spotify on your phone, you can listen to us there. All you have to do is search Sundown After Dark, and that's where you'll find us. Also, we've got people that they try to talk to me, in multiple different avenues, and the best way to get a hold of us, there's two ways. If you want to just ask a question in general, and maybe something that has to do with the podcast, or you just have a standard question, get on our Facebook page. It's Sundown After Dark. We've got a full page, and that's where you'll find a lot of things about us posting updates and shit. So anyway, Sundown After Dark, you can message us through there, and we'll get to you as fast as possible. Also, we have a phone number. You know what? I still don't remember the damn phone number, so how about I pull that up? While I'm pulling it up, we'll talk about some.
You should really have that memorized,
dude.
You should really. Have
I actually meant to write it
By
down.
now you should.
I should have it pasted right here on my screen. Let me pull it up.
You should read it in Spanish.
You want to do that? Because
you should.
That ain't going to be
like
me.
a Spanish radio advertisement.
Poder
FM 105.3.
Jesus. All right, so here's the deal. We love to take your phone calls. So any question that pertains to Sundown, or hell, it doesn't have to pertain to Sundown. Any of us here, technical questions, questions about products. What do we got going on in the future? Shit like that. Maybe you got a personal question for one of us. Maybe you hate one of us and want to tell us. Hey, go for it. Phone number is...
That's that Bryan guy.
Yeah.
No, that's me. Get that guy out of here.
Yeah, 252-969-0005. That is the phone number you call. It's a Google phone number. You just call it. You leave us a message, and if we like it enough, we'll play it on the tubes of you for you, or wherever it is that you're listening to it. So that is how you get a hold of us.
You want me to do the Spanish translation? Bring the phone number back up.
Oh, dude, I just hit X. I didn't remember it.
It would be funny.
It's 252-969-0005. Say that shit.
252-969-005 llama ya.
Now you just got to do really fast like they do.
Well, if it was up on the screen, I was reading and I could do it faster.
Yeah. All right, so here's the other deal. So anyway, that's our Facebook, or that's our phone number. Make sure to like us on Facebook. That's the best way to get in touch with us. Let's see what else we got here. So if for the people that listen and maybe don't watch, if you want to watch us, you can go on the official Sundown Audio YouTube channel, and that's where you'll find every time we post something. It's right there. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, DJ Russticals. Obviously, you guys, you get the commercial in the middle of the show. For those that skip through the commercial, if you listen to it, there's a promo code there. So anybody who's interested in DJ Russticals music, there's a promo code. Promo code's After Dark.
I shouldn't have told them. You said listen to the commercial.
Have people told you that they skipped it?
I'm just thinking, because I skip it myself. So I'm like, I bet you everybody else does.
It's like
too.
The most entertaining part of the episode.
I'll be out there
every episode.
I've literally walked by people in this shop listening to the podcast, and they skip the fucking commercial. Like, oh yeah, okay. I bet you a lot of people are doing that right now. So anyway, there's a promo code in there. If you're interested in his product, you can use the promo code and get you. I think it's 10% off. So that's a pretty significant amount. And then also, there's been a few people that I've talked to that have asked how to support the podcast, which I never thought about, but is pretty cool. So there are people that say, hey, we would like to help support you. there's two different ways we can do that right now. The first way would be I set up an Amazon affiliate link. I was kind of wishy-washy about doing that, but you know what? I did put down a big chunk of money here, and if anybody's actually interested in supporting the podcast and you want to send us money in some sort of way, the best way to do it, if you want to purchase your Sundown products through Amazon, there's a link that I post on the bottom that you can click the link, and it you're still purchasing it through the dealer, but I do get a kickback for it. So I feel weird saying that. I don't want your money, but if you're interested in giving me your money, I'm sure I'll take it. I do have some bills to pay here. Also, the other way would be, we do have an address if you want to send us anything. Our walls are bare. We need to put things on our walls. All right? So let's do that picture. Here, look, there's a whole wall here, and there's nothing on it.
Where's your Sundown banner, Bryan?
What the fuck, dude? I do want to get an After Dark decal or a big old banner and put it right here on this wall.
We sell those. We can just put like one temporarily up.
How much you gonna charge me for that, Jake?
You can have one.
No shit.
There you go.
But anyway,
you'll get a $10.99 in the mail though.
If you've got decals or anything funny, little bobbleheads, whatever the hell, something laying around that you think would be cool on our wall or on a desk or whatever, the place you would send those to is 3071 Cutright Drive, Claremont, North Carolina, 28610. It's Sundown Audio's actual address, and just do Attention Podcast.
Indeed.
That'll work. So again, that's 3071 Cutright Drive, Claremont, North Carolina, 28610. And that's Cutright spelled Cutrite. And that is it. I'm not asking for your money. I feel like a douche already saying that. So here we go.
It's the loudest show around. Sundown After Dark with your host Bryan Chamberlain. Presented by Sundown Audio.
All right, so as you noticed, the sound went kind of funny, and we don't know why it does that. It only does it during recording. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out one of these days.
Maybe.
I don't care. It's whatever. So anyway, check it out, guys. We've got Mr. Ronnie and Mr. Jared with us today. Say hello, guys.
Hello. Hey.
Hells yeah. A lot of you guys that follow Sundown follow these guys right here, and there's a good reason for that. You guys do fantastic work, to both of you. In your own little way. And actually, you guys actually work together a lot. So,
probably more than Jared likes, but yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about the two of you working together, and then we're going to maybe jump into Jared a little bit more first, all right? So, a lot of people have noticed, Ronnie, you do the 6.5s and the 8s, that's your thing.
Yep.
And it seems like a lot of the stuff comes from maybe your head, but into Jared's actual physical abilities. So tell us a little bit how that works, the two of you working together.
So basically, in a nutshell, I met Jared through Kyle Rutherford. Me and Kyle went to high school together, was real good friends. I'd kind of got out of audio for a long time, and when I decided to come back into audio, I was looking for someone to build a box because, I didn't have no woodworking tools anymore. And
about when was that?
probably over 5 years ago now.
Yeah, 2013, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'm like terrible with timelines.
Jared was still a fetus.
Yeah. So anyhow, I he introduced me to Jared, and the first box Jared ever made for me was a
Fill box.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Hey, you got to try somewhere, right?
Well, Jared learned real quick. It was for two 10s, two X10s, actually. And the original design, Jared come up with it. And after the fact, I was like, hey, I want to add plexiglass here. So then we had to, or Jared did, modify the box. And, we just, it kind of went from there.
Was this, from the start, was it CNC work? Because that's what you're known for.
No.
Okay.
No.
So this was before the CNC.
Yep.
All right.
And basically, it it kept progressing from there, and I would come up with all these ideals, schemes, whatever
Right.
Jared wants to call them, and you know, I had it in my mind, but I didn't have the ability to,
Gotcha.
to build it. You know, I'm not a woodworker, and which you know Jared is,
or a designer, I guess you could say. But now I know you've definitely crawled really deep into the design work side of things.
Well, yeah, I kind of had to, because some of the things that I was coming up with was just I couldn't draw them on paper or make Jared understand it. So
Right.
I actually had to learn how to do 3D models and stuff. You know, the fusion side of it, so I could provide him a print to then machine it for me.
Gotcha.
You know.
What do you normally use, like SketchUp or SolidWorks?
I started with SketchUp, and then I moved over to the Fusion 360. So now I use
That's
Fusion 360.
that's an open source platform, right? Fusion
yeah,
360?
Yeah, and it's actually free.
Yep.
To, you know, students, or what is it? You got to be making less than like 100K a year.
100,000. Yeah.
So you got to find someone with an edu email.
The software it's pretty rocky to begin with to learn.
Right.
YouTube is your best friend. You know,
Oh yeah, that's how I
find some
learned.
YouTube
That's how I learned
videos.
how to use SketchUp. I mean, I would watch Derek because Derek was using SketchUp for a while.
Right.
I'd watch him a little bit. Like, man, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'll just learn on YouTube.
Well, most people will get frustrated with Fusion, just because it is a learning curve. But once you learn it, I mean, let's just say a basic box design. I mean, I can do from nothing to a complete 3D rendering in like 10 minutes now.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's really good.
And it
it's
takes
easy.
my computer 10 minutes to load.
Yeah. So
Jared's computer's older than he is.
But the good thing about the Fusion is not only can I provide him a file for him to CNC on his router,
Yeah.
but also I can design my own stuff to use on my CNC too. You know,
You got a CNC now too?
I have a metal CNC.
Whoa.
Yes.
So Jared, yours does a little bit of everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I try to stick to wood and plastic. It does a little bit of aluminum. But
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to cut metal, you have to have the one that shoots the jet of some kind of liquid, I would assume, right? To cool things down.
Coolant or air.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Which yours is? I've watched videos of yours. It's more like a big router. By the way, if you guys getting some funny stuff in your headphones,
Yep.
just
Yep.
deal with it. Sorry.
Okay. I thought it was just me.
No,
I
it's
wasn't
not
gonna say
you.
anything.
Those are the gremlins, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just I've changed a wire in here, and like I thought I'd fixed it, but apparently not.
The After Dark Gremlins coming out.
Yep. So anyway, and you guys, a lot of your followers see that you two work together. So you've got Mr. 6.5 over here, and you got Jeefworx doing a lot of the cutting. So who does the putting of the material together?
Sometimes it depends. You know, if Jared's pretty tied up, I'll assemble the stuff, or it really just depends on what we both got going on.
Right.
You know, I think the last box that I put together. Yeah. Jared and them say that I'm slow, but I like to take my time with things. So.
Gotcha.
Because I like everything a certain way. So. You know,
Maybe
Don't
makes
worry,
sense.
Ronnie. I'm a slow woodworker too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Ronnie don't listen.
I am very bad
Hey,
for that. I
but
will
you
not
learn from your
listen.
mistakes, I would assume, right?
Oh yeah. You know, basically everything that anyone follows me on social media and sees something that worked, there was a lot of shit that failed first.
Right. Well,
I mean, a lot. That some I post just because I think it's funny, and then others I'm just like, oh shit, that was a
Right.
burn pile. You know. But it happens. It's a learning curve.
so you guys live pretty close to each other, I would assume, right?
Yeah, we're less than 30 minutes from each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, about 20 minutes.
So it's a little easier to bounce things back and forth
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're not too far away.
Yeah, and usually on the weekends we usually try to go get lunch if I'm not working, which I work a lot. So,
Right.
You sure?
well,
Show
excuse
up.
me, I am at work a lot. So,
That seems
It's an
about
important distinction.
yes.
right. Right. So, and then Jared, let's jump into you a little bit here. How old are you now, Jared? 11, 12?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask Jacob, I'm still 15. So,
Facts.
no, I'm 28.
20. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I actually thought you were younger.
No, I'm 28.
Look at that baby face.
That's what his fake ID says.
Hey, I roll with it.
So here's the cool thing I noticed about you, Jared, is your family's involved. And in our industry and in the basehead community, you don't see a lot of families get involved, or should I say their parents get involved.
Right.
Because that was, I don't want to say shunned, but a lot of our parents didn't really understand why the hell we got into such a thing that was making such a ruckus, And it was really cool to see, and still to this day, being 28 years old, your parents are still involved. They love what you do. Your father, I know he likes to, he drives you guys around. He takes a big RV and a big trailer around, and you guys go to all the shows. And a lot of the folks in general in the basehead community know your parents because of that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just awesome. So big
And,
up to them.
Everybody
we love
loves
seeing
Mama
them.
Gibson too.
Oh yeah.
She's cool.
She paps if we can't go to a show.
It keeps them young, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And your dad's got a CDL, so you can drive all that big equipment around. So, but anyway, yeah, it's really cool to see your family get involved. And throughout the years, I guess we see that happen a little more often. A lot of times it's usually the father. People in our 30s. We're in our 30s now, most of us, and we've got a wife and kids, and it's good to see the family in general get involved in the basehead community.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then a lot of families in general, they'll go out during the shows, and everybody's friends, and for the most part, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to
a
see.
real good example of that is the Johnson family.
Yes.
I remember Wally and Josh, they were like little kids. And now, first of all, both of them are huge,
Yes.
And they're both
they tower over everybody.
They're really hardcore into all this stuff. And I was like, man, wasn't he 10 years old a week ago? You know, and then now I'm like, hey, man, what's up? Hey, Wally, what's up, man?
Jeez. But yeah, it's we're gonna pause for a second here.
Laugh every time I look at him.
That should have been on the show. So you're not recording yet, are you?
I just started.
No.
I started when he said whatever he said.
What?
His
Did you
joke.
look funny?
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. So again, we've got headphone problems again, but whatever.
I guess we got to make Sundown headphones next, Brian.
Yep.
But with your
Yeah.
help,
I really think so.
we
I've
can get
got
new headphones.
I've got 5 sets of headphones, and it's hooked up to an amplifier, an actual headphone amplifier. It's got 4 outputs, and I got split off of one. But anyway, fuck it. I don't know, man. Our headphones are going to shit again. So
Builds
I actually
character.
had RMA one set of headphones already, the first time we ever used them. And they're good. These are all good brands. I didn't buy a shit product,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to you guys. So yeah, you guys work together often. What else was I gonna say? I don't fucking know.
Actually,
Took the
about
shit.
you guys working together, you mentioned that you had these crazy schemes that you just sometimes couldn't explain
Yeah.
to Jared. Give me an example. Something super crazy. Just what the hell were you thinking?
Well,
Double barrel box.
yeah. My box design, a lot of people look at it and say, how the fuck does this even work? And I'm like, yeah, it just does. I mean, you would just have to see it.
Yeah, we'll show some pictures here in a little bit. Donnie, have you seen his? It's basically 6th order, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of
It's a
I have
form of a
seen
six
I have
order,
seen
yeah.
some pictures on Facebook.
It's pretty wild. It's awesome. Yeah, you're actually doing a lot of shit that I was.
Don't you have a lot of 6.5s?
I do. Yes.
You're
Yeah,
doing a lot
I
of
think
shit
I have
that
some.
I used to think about doing for the longest time and wondering if it would work, and I never did it. And I'm glad somebody's doing it.
A lot of that shit failed first, just so you know. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Jacob can say, yeah, that shit
I would
failed.
assume-
All the little stuff, even just if you move the internal box back and forth and all that shit, it's very important.
Yeah.
I assume since that you're dealing with such small tolerances that the port area and port length make a huge difference.
Yes, and feeding off of what Jacob just said, even the inner chamber, we've seen gains or losses. I mean, up to a dB by just moving it an inch.
No shit.
Yeah, it's endless testing to
Well,
figure
damn.
it out.
Let's talk about the sniper box.
It's
I'm not-
confidential. No, go ahead.
people have a lot of questions about that.
I bet they do.
I
Yeah.
see people ask you questions on social media all the time. You just don't say much of anything.
Yeah, I'll tend to just kind of avoid some things.
Let's see if I can find a good picture. There's one picture, but it doesn't show much of the insides.
It's got some fantastic art there by Ronnie's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
oldest daughter
Yes.
does all the artwork.
So let's go ahead and pull this up real quick for everybody. Okay. So here's the first picture we were showing. This is, by the way, this is
awesome.
Ronnie's Instagram. I'm kind of going out of sync of how I wanted to do the show, but fuck it, let's roll with it. The Ronnie's Instagram is Sideshow Customs, right? But I also see it says Mr. 6.5.
Yeah, it let me change the name, and
It actually, it does say Mr. 6.5. Earlier today when I pulled it up, it said Sideshow Customs.
Up there it does.
well,
At the very
it
top,
started
yeah.
off. All right, so let me get into that little story. Real
There it is,
fast.
right there.
So, I was known as Sideshow
Yep.
all through high school and stuff because I had a big ass afro and yeah, I mean, so
How the fuck old are you?
I'm old enough.
you need to bring it back, Ronnie.
He's way older
Do
than
it.
me.
Yeah. So
Can you? I don't even know. Can you even grow it back now?
all except for this front part. But anyhow, so people in high school knowed me as Sideshow.
Yeah.
And so I went off of Sideshow. That's like all my cars and stuff, you see Sideshow on them. That's because that was my nickname. That's what everybody knowed me as. Well, then when I started doing a lot of stuff with the 6.5-inch subs, people started calling me Mr. 6.5. And at first I was like,
Yeah.
fuck no. No, I'm not going by this. And if you actually look at some of my older videos, I always said, this is Sideshow,
Yep.
a.k.a. Mr. 6.5.
Yeah,
But then
well.
I just kind of lost the Sideshow part. And because some people were like, oh, yeah, you're Mr. 6.5.
Bring that
yeah,
mic a little closer to your face.
Yeah, I'm
You can move
Ronnie,
it.
and they're like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, people know me as Mr. 6.5 now. So I didn't choose the name.
When we have people
just
that
there.
call, we have people that call here, and they talk about 6.5s, and a lot of them mention you, and they
Right.
mention Mr. 6.5. A lot of people don't even know your name; they just say Mr. 6.5.
Yeah, exactly.
which is awesome to have a nickname. By the way,
Yes.
I never had such a thing growing up.
If only he knew anything about 6.5.
Look at that one.
Oh, yeah.
That one broke.
Yeah.
I want to get a better picture of the.
Ronnie has instigated several design changes.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah, I'm looking for better picture of the inside of that box of the weird shit you guys got going on.
You got to go way down.
Yeah, they're probably way down.
Yeah.
I haven't really posted much on the internals of it
Again,
lately.
well, there it is again. And again, this artwork is from your daughter. Let's take a look. Here we go. There's a
Single
video.
6.5. Well, we're going to take it down to 22 hertz.
That's something
Why
other people
not?
don't realize too. It is musical. It's not a burp box
Oh, really?
at all. That's
Nice.
This is a single 6.5 at 22 hertz right here.
It
gets
don't do
Now we
well.
can get any flex out the windshield.
Boom. That's one 6.5.
That's a single 6.5. Yes.
Damn. A lot of people
yeah.
can't get that from much bigger woofers.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I got 8/8s. Can't do that.
Single 6.5, y'all.
Now a single 6.5 so far.
Look at that decal right there.
What decal is that?
Directronics.
Is it Directronics? I thought it was Directronics.
Can you fast forward this?
No, not on Instagram. You can't.
I hate Instagram.
Single six.
So yeah, that's awesome. Let's
So
see,
my
that's
best
really
score
cool.
to date with a single 6.5 is a 148.
And that's insane, by the way. I remember
What's it do with 20?
Ronnie and I worked together a little bit in the beginning of his 6.5 adventure. Back when I was running Directronics and building refurbs, that was basically a cheaper way for Ronnie to get the sub.
Yep.
And we did some really cool custom work to try to get him the most out of the subwoofer.
At that time, that was with the original Sniper box,
Mhm.
which it adapted that name too. I didn't give it that name.
That's because of the gun.
Yes, I mean that's what it is. But
So, real fast, so the art was done before the name of the box?
yes, this is actually the V2 of it.
Okay.
If you scroll down more, there should be a picture of the V1.
But I'm saying your daughter did a piece for that box.
Yes.
Before there was even a name.
For the folks that
Yes.
are just listening to
That's
the
cool.
podcast, we're on Ronnie's Instagram, which is just search Mr. 6.5.
That's the new inner chamber. The bottom
This
middle
right here?
picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one has interchangeable baffles. I can bounce back and forth between a single 8, single 6.5.
No shit.
I have
so
those
really
with
cool.
isobaric
so this
stuff.
the baffle, the front piece right here comes off, and you can switch it out.
Yes. If you look behind it, that's the 6.5 baffle.
Okay.
And if you see all the rings stacked on it, that's to take up the same exact displacement of an X8.
Uh huh.
And then there's other filler panels that go in there as well.
I gotcha.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everything is made to interlock with each other.
Guess who had to cut that out?
Yeah.
I know a guy.
But yeah, there's some of Jared's
Yep,
CNC work.
That's it right there when it was on the table.
That's a lot of wood.
Yep.
That's, but anyway,
But
that's
just imagine me trying to draw this up on a piece of paper
right.
and hand it to Jared and saying, "This is what I'm wanting to do." And Jared was like, "What the fuck is this?" So I actually had to learn the 3D modeling side.
By the way, here's
So
the
cool.
here's the X version 3 6.5
Yep.
subwoofer that has not been released yet, and we have actually sent it off to Ronnie here to test for us
Twice.
because we know he's going to beat the hell out of it, and we wanted to make sure
Yep.
if it passes Ronnie, then we know we can sell it.
The funny story, the first time Jacob sent that with me, I tore it all to hell. And when I brought it back, and he was like, "All right, well, I made these changes."
Brought it back with a big smile on your face right there.
Well, no, I was like, "Holy shit, I just tore this thing all to pieces." He was like, "All right, take this one." I was like, you sure?" He's like, "Yep, it's got to happen." I was like, "Okay."
We got you working for us. You don't even know it.
That's awesome.
I still got to work on the spider. Everything else is holding together real well. The cone assembly is like a 3-piece. It's really strong because Ronnie likes to break cones.
Yes, I do.
And that's why the new X8 version 3 cone is as strong as this table.
Yeah.
Strong like
crazy.
bull.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So Jake, let's get a little bit off topic. Let's go let's go into the 6.5s. Jake, let's talk a little bit about the X 6.5 version 3.
Yep.
People ask about it constantly. Let's give them some kind of an answer today. Can we do that?
Yeah, sure. As soon as I can get it tough enough where Ronnie can do what he normally does to it without breaking it, then I'll release it.
Ronnie actually needs to answer the question in that case.
So the V3 has a really high amount of motor force compared to the V2. So it's just beating that spider to death. And it's a small spider, so it's really tricky. And so I think I did a revision before Ronnie even got it the first time. Then he got it the first time. I did another version, and he got it again. And I'm not 100% sure that the spider actually needs to change again. I built it by hand, and it's really hard, and I didn't have all the final stuff.
Is that the one with all that glue on it? That's back
Yeah, all
there?
the glue. And on production, it's going to be bolted, but I didn't have the supplies to bolt it.
Yeah.
So I think what I need to do is actually get another recone kit and the supplies to physically bolt the spider.
You think is it good enough right this second to give to Ronnie to take home today?
No, I gotta build it again and bolt the spider.
I tore it up.
So right now we're just basically working on the spider. And if you guys listened a few podcasts ago, we were talking about the FAE optimization, trying to get the soft parts to work together to where they don't just tear to shit. And that's one of the things we're doing right now. And then we have to field test the shit, and that's where Ronnie comes involved.
I used to do a lot of it myself, but I don't have enough time to put all the stuff in my Jeep anymore. So I have a guy like Ronnie's my 6.5, 8 guy.
Yep.
You know, and
Derek
I have
doing the 15s and 18s.
Yeah, I have other people that test the bigger ones. And so I have a guy for each size basically.
guy.
Yeah, the new spiders that you're using now,
Yeah,
I love them.
that new X8 spider.
Yes,
that
I
thing's the
love
gem, isn't it?
I love it.
And I came up with that because of guys like Ronnie. And it's interesting. I was standing in the lobby of King Kong Customs 2 years ago.
In
I think it
Albuquerque.
was 2 years ago now. And I had an idea. I was just playing. Kurt has a collection of broken soft parts, and I was standing there spacing out, messing around with soft parts. And I was like, oh, hey. So pulled my cell phone out, and I emailed the spider supplier right there in Kurt's lobby in New Mexico.
Nice. And I have to say I really enjoy the aesthetics of it. I love that dish style,
Yeah.
so-called cone surround or cone dust cap look.
Yep.
What is that called? Actually, is that considered a dust cap?
And on the X6.5, it's neither a dust cap or the actual cone. It's actually just another support layer.
So it's just one piece.
The
The-
top
just-
piece, it's like a dish.
The V3 is
Oh,
a
okay.
3-piece, so there's an actual cone body, and then there's a dust cap piece that glues on, and it comes up and then back down, and the dish actually sits down in that, glues to that, and glues to the surround. So you have a 3-piece, like, we're making a structural cone. We're not just relying on the properties of the material itself. We're actually making a structure.
And it's aluminum.
Yeah, it's aluminum.
Yeah, I love the look. I hope that we can get our logo somehow imprinted on that. I don't know if you're gonna do.
I'm thinking about laser etching it.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and when they laser etch, is there a color involved?
It would just kind of look like aluminum, so it'd be like silver.
Yeah.
Sweet titties. That was.
Hey, I do have a question on the V2, Jacob. If you know
Yeah.
if you know this off
I
the
might.
top of your head, how many of them were made?
Not enough.
The V2, 500,
500.
and then the first, the original V1, there was 500 of them.
Okay.
And so
Which
I'm actually, since it's taken me so long to get the V3 ready, I'm probably going to make another run of V2.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how many of the V2s that.
you have
possess.
half of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just making sure.
And if anybody's interested, I believe JP still has some 6.5s. I might be mistaken. It may be
Yeah,
sold
pretty-
out.
I'm
by
pretty
now.
sure-
I don't think he does. I
Really?
think I looked.
I know
think he's out of the
Woofers,
X's.
etc. had
He's
some
out.
at one point.
Yeah.
It was was only a couple people. It was JP, which is downforsoundshop.com. There's woofersecc.com. They may be out of them.
Yeah.
You also have directronics.net, which they are refurbishing them, which
Right.
I think they're running extremely low. I think they only have like 4 or 5
Yeah.
left.
So I'm probably going to make another run and to tide everyone over for the V3, and I actually might make. I thought about making a 1,000-piece run that time.
Staying the same.
Just
Probably there's one thing
DVC.
I did consider making it a dual voice coil.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So
Or at least a single 2.
that wouldn't work.
No.
Yeah.
No, the gaps would be totally wrong. Yeah.
Do you now? I know because when we start dealing with smaller woofers, especially the SD series.
The SD is an extreme example. I actually have 2 separate motors.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
getting to. Are we going to have to do that if we go with a dual 2, dual 4? We're going to have to do 2 separate gap sizes.
Probably.
Damn.
Because the gap is very sensitive on those. Like the SD3 is an 8-layer. It's a 1/2-inch long 8-layer. So the outer diameter varies drastically.
Yeah.
Most of our stuff, the dual 4 and dual 2, can be somewhat close, and our flat wound coils are even closer. Round wire coils, obviously, they vary significantly more.
Well, I will, and this version 3 that we're working on right now, that will be a dual voice coil.
Correct.
Are you doing? And I don't remember this. Is it going to be just dual 4?
D2
Dual
and
4
D4.
and D2, yep.
All right,
And
perfect.
It will have a variable gap depending on the coil.
Hell yeah. So let's switch things back over to Jared over here. We kind of left you alone there, Jared. Sorry,
No,
buddy.
it's all right.
So we were talking about you and your family and everybody getting involved. We want to know, a lot of people want to know the story of the people that come here and,
Yep.
and talk. So how did things get started? I know it was a pretty young age. I want to know the beginning of Jeef.
Well, it all.
That's Jeef with an F at the end, folks.
Yes, not a P, it's a F.
Because bitches love what?
Jeefs.
The Jeefs.
That's right. It actually started when I was in high school. According to Jacob, that was last year, but
It was maybe a year ago.
I told myself I was not going to get a system. Well, my cousin had one Q Power 15 and a Hyphonics Brutus 1200.
Oh, shit, I remember the Q powers.
Yeah, I love them. So anyway, I had that, and then I ended up buying a DC Level 4 XL12. Didn't really care for it. So then I traded for 4 Q Power 15s, and then I ran that in a wall. That was my first wall in the Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was before the Jeep time.
yeah, way before. This was.
You still have that Ranger, don't you?
Yeah, I drive it every day.
Oh, yeah.
That was before I really got serious, and then 2009 is when I met Jacob, and that's when I started 16/8 is when I had him in the Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
In
SA.
a Ranger.
Yeah, walled on 4 1500s. That was the SA V1s. I think that was the
Yep.
very first SA8s
And
that
then
came out.
I made the V1.5 partially in response to Jared.
Yeah.
Hey, I do remember a comment that you said to me one time.
Yeah.
He said, I brought back some 6.5s that I fucked up. And he's like, holy shit, you're like the version of Jared, but with 6.5s. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Jared was some of the inspiration behind the V1.5. Because I wasn't ready for the full V2 yet, but I needed a little bit more mechanical clearance, make the cone a little taller and stuff like that. So that's when the V1.5 with the slightly different frame came about, and it was a
Yep.
little bit more tolerant to abuse.
Same motor, but we changed all the soft parts basically.
Yeah.
Same spider, I think, too, wasn't it?
No.
No. So, but yeah, same motor. We just went different on the frame and the soft parts on
Yep.
that. That was a kick-ass woofer. Jared, back to you.
All right. So after the 8s, I put 4 Sundown SA-15s in the Ranger. And then I went to Spring Break Nationals in 2010 for the first time. So I had a blast. The next year, I tried to get Daddy and them to go, so they finally went. And that's when they got hooked. That's when the Jeep come along.
But before all this, like, maybe talk to the folks that are interested in getting into competing that are young and just don't understand how you start. How do you even get involved in that? How did you? Because back then, I mean, there was social media. So is that kind of how you got involved? Like figuring out, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I, what organizations do I go to? This, what class am I in? Who do I talk to for this, that, and the other? How did you get into that?
Actually, I was a member of the SMD. I think it was SteveMeadDesigns.com.
The forum?
Yeah. And then I met a guy named DJ. He was dealing with Sundown at the time. He got me hooked up with Jacob and Derek, and that's when it took off with my Ranger.
And you became a Team Nemesis member.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. That's when I went to spring break for the first year.
Cool.
And then after that, I base raced, and I got hooked. And then I started learning the organizations, and I got over there and started watching base boxing. And I told my dad, I was like, that's what I want to do. And then he was like, well, we can't do that with your truck. You're just going to tear it apart. So that's how the Jeep came along.
Jared, I remember when you did the 4 SA-15s in the Jeep with the 2 2500s, right?
Yep.
And you were doing like, what, 56s with that?
The best I got was 57.2 sealed up.
Yeah, that's nasty. And he could play it all day, every day. Properly configured, double the rated power, no problem.
Yep. Was it a bunch of just trial and error trying to get those numbers, or did you kind of have a mentor of sorts? Or
Derek helped me. He's pretty much, I built it. He told me to build it as big as I could, and then he come down and we all tested together.
Okay, cool.
And gave me some ideas of what to try. The first time he came down, I was only doing 53s sealed on the glass, and he was like, I see a 57. I didn't believe it, but about 6 months later after testing, I finally got it.
Hell yeah, dude.
What did you do next? ZV3s, wasn't it?
Yep, ZV3s. That's when I first got my 162 sealed with ZV3s on 2 NS1s.
And this was even before I did the XL leads and stuff.
Yeah.
Jared never had a single problem because, again, properly configured, no
you know
clipping.
what? That's what we need to talk about, because Jared is the best person we know about talking about how to properly break in a subwoofer. Yeah. This is a question I get almost.
This is a question I get as a novice still trying to learn.
We
I get
constantly
this all the time.
Oh boy.
Well, I'll address that a little bit. One of the things that Jared was I think when in the ZV3 era, every once in a while he would bubble the former out, because especially flat wound coils, they have some gas built in from the manufacturing process, and the gas has to escape. If it escapes,
sure does, buddy.
If it escapes too fast, if it's heated too quickly, like the first time, you'll get those bubbles. And so then we figured out, and Jared was very patient. He would play them and heat them, let them cool, heat them, let them cool, heat them, let them cool, and then they were good to go.
So it's not just the spider that needs to soften up; it's also the degassing of the coil.
Yeah, and generally that's not an issue.
And most of those are flat wound.
The flat wounds are the ones that have more outgassing problems.
It's
harder for the gas to escape between those flat layers. It's tighter. And so that's actually not as much of an issue anymore. Actually, Precision Econoline addressed that with a new baking process. But moving on from that, Jared learned that. And also, even with our older spider generations, Jared never had a problem with ripping the spiders. Because especially our older ones, there was a bunch of layers glued together. It was permanently adhered. All the layers had adhesive, even glued together. And so when you stack something like that, obviously each layer wants to move slightly differently. So Jared would play them very patiently and get them all settled into their final configuration, and then he would go ham on it. For most people, that's never going to be a problem. But again, Jared gets the woofers moving as far as they can possibly move, and he puts as much power as he can possibly put to them.
Plenty of customers that just go wild with our shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And within minutes, I blew my woofer. It's your fault, Sundown.
With the spider settling, I've addressed that with the new composition, which me and Ronnie discussed earlier. There's actually 2 different materials in the spider now of different weave configurations. And again, the coil thing has been addressed by the coil manufacturer, so neither one of those is really an issue anymore. But Jared was one of the guys that really took the time to address it in his configuration so he didn't have failures.
So let's go. What is the exact process that you go through to break in your subwoofer? When they're brand new, straight from here, what do you do?
Used to. I used to just play.
Do you sing to them?
I cuss at them when I try to put them in because they're so heavy. Used to. I used to just play 25 to 30 hertz. Just play them just enough to get them warm. And now we do a couple base race runs, 49.9, because that's usually 500 to 1,000 watts.
On the lower frequency range?
No, just regular 48 hertz range. And then once they were warm, I felt like I could feel some heat on them. You can just feel it. I'll just let it rip after that.
What's the time involved in something like that?
When I was at shows, 15 to 20 minutes is what I used to do. Now with the ZV3s, like Jacob said, I had to break them in more because it took longer to get the coils heated up. Yeah. Now I just put a sub in and burp it straight full tilt. So there's no break in.
Yeah, all the new technology that we've implemented, partially thanks to guys like Jared, has essentially eliminated really the need to do that.
We still tell people to give it a little bit of time.
Now I will say, and Ronnie will back me up on this, as the suspension gets looser, the sub actually sounds better, and it does get louder. So it's always a good thing to break them in.
Yeah, I've actually done some tests on that, and with some SPL numbers, and the gain was quite a bit.
Right.
After I let the sub break in.
Yep.
And the frequency drops, doesn't it, during break-in?
It does change a little. I didn't see no big, huge difference, with my particular setup.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as SPL, I did gain.
Yeah.
From
A lot
break-in.
of folks will say after their subs broke in, and I've this been known this for years, you get a smoother response, a little cleaner sound,
Yes.
less distortion. In general, it takes a couple weeks to truly break in a subwoofer on a musical setup where you're not going ham with it.
And for the most part, the break-in procedure isn't necessarily something you have to separately do. With the exception of like SPL guys that might want to get it settled in and get their number perfected. And the break-in can either increase or decrease your score depending on your frequency. The lower frequency guys tend to gain.
Right.
But for example, when we used to do all the testing with the 8s and Sean's little CRX, when they were fresh, they were way louder because he played like 68
That was
hertz.
like 5 layers of spider.
Well, yeah, we ended up with 5 layers, and he would play 68 hertz. So that was the big difference there.
Jesus. So, but anyway, so folks, anybody who's interested in how to break in your subwoofers, that's how you do it. There's a few different ways. So if you're on the competition side of things, you need to be quick about it. You heard what Jared had to say. But for a standard person who just has a musical setup, takes a couple weeks, let things warm up, let things cool down. Let things warm up, cool down. It takes a couple weeks to get that sound that you're looking for before you can go crazy with it. So, and obviously you want to set things below clipping, or else you're going to mess it up anyway.
Yeah, and Jared's really good at that. He doesn't really go through woofers very often.
No.
Except when he gets a little carried away at the show and gets excited.
Yeah, base race
out of a lot of
59.90s,
the
man.
competitors that we deal with, we don't see you as often as we wished,
Yeah.
Jared, because you don't have a reason to come here. So, anyway, let's go to commercial real quick, and then we'll start talking about some other things.
Are you sick and tired of playing sloppy edits with squared off sine waves? Want a moment of clarity? Then sit back and relax and experience what it's like to get rustified. When it comes to transforming new hits and old classics into the best street bangers, ain't nobody got the sweet sounds of the 808s like Russ. With frequencies ranging from spleen-busting high-end to digging all the way down low into the subsonic abyss, Russticals has what you need. Sundown After Dark has teamed up to give you an exclusive offer to save big on his iconic sound. So pull out your mobiles and browse your way over to www.djrusticals.com and pick up your preloaded DJ Rusticals Fire Stick USB today. Go ahead and save 10%. Use promo code After Dark. That's www.djrusticals.com and use promo code After Dark at checkout.
Plan, so
Double.
when you burp the 3K on a burp at half ohm actual, we'll probably do about 7,200 watts.
Oh. Now we're talking.
All right, so we're back from the break.
We're back.
Ronnie and Jared both have actually a pretty funny story about an X. So and Jared, you got a funny story about some ZV3s.
Yeah.
Right, let's do the X10, right?
Yeah, it was a set of X10s.
All right, let's get into that because that was
V1s, I assume.
Yes.
Is this your funny story? Is actually when we first started with the Mega Roll surround is something we had happen often when people will call us on the phone. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so I had stepped away from audio. Like I said, I'd probably stepped away from audio for about 10 years. So when I decided to come back into audio, I got up with Kyle. It's like, hey, look, what's good? What should I get? He said, Sundown. I was like, well, what the hell's Sundown? I've never heard of no Sundown. And he was like, yeah, that's what you need. So I bought a set of X10s, V1s. And, like I said, that's when I met Jared. Jared built the box for it, put them in the car, and I started playing them, and I didn't like them at all.
Right.
So I called Jared up, and I'm like, hey, look, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I don't.
You done fucked up my box.
Something is not right. Jared was like, all right, well, I'm on my way over there to check it out.
Damn whippersnapper.
So
he listened to Kyle to start with. So.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the first failure. But anyhow, so Jared comes over there and he's like, all right, well, let's hear it. So I cut it on, and Jared's like, what the fuck are you listening to? I'm like, what are you talking
It's like
about?
80s metal.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, this is not going to do good on these. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, this is what I listen to. And he's like, hold on, man. Here's a thumb drive. Try this. And so anyhow, it was some decaf.
Yeah, decaf. In the Air Tonight, actually, by Phil Collins.
And I mean, it was like
yeah.
night and day. I was like, holy shit. I mean,
that was actually one of the first songs I got a hold of. It was a decaf song. It was that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, woofers can do things.
Did you say decaf?
Yeah, that's the guy's nickname. His name's Chris Coffee.
I was like, you
before
get some coffee
before
and it just
DJ
made it
Russticals
sound better?
So Donnie, before DJ Russticals, there was
okay.
decaf.
Yeah, and
okay.
the funny thing is, his last name's Coffee. He actually,
okay.
I don't know if he still has our
I think
woofers,
his
but
email has cappuccino in it.
Yeah, he's been a customer for a while. I know he's owned some like ZV3s and things like that. Not sure what he's doing these days though.
yeah, but like I said, I come more from the era of, where sealed boxes and,
Yeah, good old punch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Strokers, 40 hertz plus.
Actually, I've got a stroker 18. But anyhow, I didn't know how to use the new equipment.
So you had a
properly.
woofer with this big ass surround that wasn't moving much.
Yeah, it
He
didn't
was
sound right to me at
Trying
all.
to play 50 hertz.
And that was an old, X version 1
Yeah.
10-inch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That was
the V1s especially were much more apt on the low frequencies.
Oh, yeah. They had like a FS of like 26.
It was real low. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was probably playing something that was like 70 hertz or something like that. I was like, what's going on?
But once they got him the right music, it finally was playing right, and he was like, "Oh man, my steering wheel's about to fall off."
There's a shitload of videos of this.
Nice. So, Jared, you have a funny story about some ZV3s.
Yeah, it goes back to what Jacob was saying about the woofers moving farther than what they're supposed to. I had that problem in bass boxing with both doors open. I would tear surrounds because they would move too far. But I've come to find out if I tore a surround, I would just put Gorilla Tape on it, and it actually got louder. And I think that's where Jacob kind of come up with the Mega Roll. And I think I was the first one to have the Mega Roll on the ZV3s.
Gorilla Tape?
Yeah, Gorilla Tape, yes.
So
Holy
what was
shit.
going on is Jared would tear the surround, and then when he taped them,
It would allow it to move farther.
yeah, it would just give it a little bit more stroke because the tape was obviously bigger than the original surround, and it would just move just a little bit more.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think, was I the only one with the ZV3s with the Mega Roll?
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, I think there's been some custom ones since then, but you were the first guy to do that.
You know, it's really funny because I got a call about like a mess up surround. They're like, can I just put some Gorilla Tape on it? I'm like, no, don't do that.
That's like a last resort. That's really for...
That's a patch job,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
It
we're
works.
in the lanes.
If you're in
we
the
need to do
lanes, you
something.
got to do it, yeah. Yeah, not for daily use.
Yeah, normally we would just E6000 that shit and roll with it.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get into some call. Actually, we only had one call. We have a couple people that messaged. And again, folks, we appreciate your calls. If I have guests on, a lot of times on Facebook, I will go ahead and post who it is that we've got coming on that week. And we've got the phone number again. Didn't write it down. Don't remember it. It's on Facebook. Actually, I set up.
If you go to Sideshow Customs, it's on his Instagram.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's right
Yeah,
there. So
'cause
click,
it was
click
a-
on Sideshow Customs real fast. It's right at the
There it
top.
is.
There you go. 252-969-0005.
Sweet Donnie, you're a savior.
Yes.
So, on our Facebook, on the Sundown After Dark Facebook, I actually put a little thing there that says call us. You just click the button and your phone calls. So you don't have to do anything else. So you give us a call if you have any questions, again, about any of us or anything that's going on with Sundown related and or what's going on with my guests that week. But anyway, we did have one call. Let's go ahead and get to that one. This is from Kendrell, and he's got a question for you.
That's Kendrell, not Ginger Ale.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to ask Jared and Ronnie, what impressed them the most about the 6.5-inch stubs?
That's the question. So what impresses you the most about 6.5
All right,
inch
so-
woofers? Let's say in general, not just Sundown.
Well, let's just say in general. This is going to be a little bit older story. A guy I know had a little Cavalier. This was years and years and years ago, and he had some actually Bose, like house stereo stuff. And I want to say they were 5 1/4, something like that, and had them in the trunk of a Cavalier. And I heard them and was like, no, that's like 210s or something back there. And he popped it. Nope, 2 little bitty small Bose home speakers.
Right.
And I was amazed by it. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But at the time, there really wasn't anybody marketing any good smaller subs, So as time passed, I seen the X 6.5 V1s. And I was like, well, I want to try that sub to see. I mean, that's the biggest 6.5-inch sub I've ever seen.
And that was actually our first 6.5-inch subwoofer we ever made, was the X series 6.5. And then since then we've got X 6.5 version 2, and we also have the SA 6.5 now.
Yeah, so I started off with, I've done some trading and got one. And as soon as I got it and messed around with it a little bit, I was like, wow, this thing is awesome. So then I ended up with like 11 of them, something like that. And now I got like 42 of them. So
you should probably sell some of those.
That's crazy.
I actually thought about it.
So Bisquick's
But I
got,
don't
what,
know.
14?
14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie used to have a big-ass build back in the day, which he still has, but it's been put to the side for a little while, I assume,
It's been
right?
put up, yeah.
It was just a standard ported box, right?
Yeah, it was a slot port.
And
Yep.
it was
It was 14.
14.
Yeah, and it was on a single 2500.
that was insane.
Yeah.
That was an Impala, right?
It's a Biscayne.
Biscayne.
It's just a lower version of an Impala.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
it's
you've
the poor
since
man's
taken
car.
that enclosure and put it in your wife's Versa.
Well, we've done that as a joke, just playing around, and yeah, we was pretty impressed. And then I put 20.
Which
in her car
now,
for a little
now
while.
since I know you guys had a little incident with the vehicle, and now you basically run the Versa.
Yes, the Versa was bought for my wife, and a woman ran a stop sign and T-boned her, and she didn't want to drive it no more. It kind of scared her.
Small car.
Yes. So she started driving my Tahoe, and I started driving the Versa, and it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
It started off with, let's just try
Well,
this.
you
then try
basically you
this.
fit as much as you can in that little cabin, and just to gain the pressure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and
I've had an interesting thought while you're talking about the Bose. Bose might have been the first company to ever do a 6-cylinder, and they technically own the commercial patent on a 6-cylinder bandpass.
I want to say that these, and see, I made a post about it probably maybe 2 years ago, and somebody pegged it out and was like, yeah, that's these, and I believe they were in a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, most of their home subs are 6-cylinder.
Yeah, it was a parallel
Yeah.
6-cylinder.
I honestly didn't, and I'm being naive here, I didn't know that they actually made subwoofers. I thought they just had whatever systems they had. They were like a full range, and they had this funny tunnel bullshit going
It's
on.
like a
with
really long transmission line, but yeah, they're dedicated subs, which they often pair with the little satellites are 6-cylinders.
Yep. I mean, Bose sound pretty damn good. A lot of people buy their products, so.
Yeah, I mean, back then I was, I was impressed by such a small sub or driver, whatever you want to call it, that had that much output. I mean, it just amazed me. And
Yeah.
then when I seen the X's. I was like, I've got to have one.
And a lot of people still to this day have the misconception that smaller woofers mean your frequency is going to be higher, but that at least with Sundown products, that's not the case. We make our products, even the smaller woofers, to be able to hit the lower frequencies into the 20s, no problem.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I like about the X6.5 in general, other than how much power it can take, Jacob pretty much designs all his subs to go in small boxes.
Yes.
I mean, it'll go in the smallest box.
And we touched on that a week or so ago. What was the reasoning behind it? It was due to efficiency.
Well, it's just we're putting the things in a car. I don't want to require a 5 cubic foot box for a 12. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So most of our 12s are 1.5 to 2 cubes ported. Most of our 10s are like 1 to 1.5 cubes ported. Excuse me. And our 8s are usually 3/4 of a cube. 6.5 is like 1/3 of a cube ported.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure I had 20 in that Versa.
A lot
like
of times,
5 cubes.
A lot of folks run more than one 6.5 in their builds.
Yes.
So I usually tell people to actually go smaller on a scale, which would be a 1/4 cubic foot per woofer.
Yes.
Which I personally did that myself. I had 5 X6.5s. It was a 1/4 cubic foot per woofer.
Right.
Okay. It was in a kerf port box. I had all the woofers wired down to, when you wire them down, it's almost a half ohm because they read 3.4 per woofer.
Right.
And I had it running on the 5th channel of our 5-channel amp, and it took it all day long with authority.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like my 20 6.5 build. That's what would screw a lot of people up, is because it was at a half a ohm. Now, I mean, if you quickly do that math, it doesn't add up. But like you said, they're not actually 4 ohm. I mean, they're a little less than that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So at the end, it come up to a half a ohm. That's what it was.
Right.
And I ran it on a single 7500 is what I ran that on.
And that thing was insane. I hope you bring that thing back out soon.
Not that box. That box won't come back.
No, the vehicle itself, Bisquick.
Oh no, that one has 14 in it. Yeah, that's 14 on a single 2500. And I actually went with more power one time, and I started breaking shit. So yeah, it's like super hard to find.
You can probably do that
car.
when we bring the version 3 out.
I'll scale it back. Yeah, I mean, it was, it's almost impossible to find parts for that car.
Right.
So as soon as I started breaking stuff,
I gotta get you hooked up with my dad. My father restores classic cars for a living, so
okay,
maybe he can get you involved with the right people to get the parts.
Yeah,
a little cheaper.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, the wagon part.
You
is
also
just hard.
Purchased around it was like 2 years ago another vehicle similar to that, didn't you?
I did.
I think you were working on it with your father or something.
I went to Virginia and bought a second one, and we were actually setting it up with a diesel motor in it, and I was going to use it to tow.
No shit.
Yes, that was the original plan on it, and anyhow, I wanted a CNC, so something had to go. They had to go. Yeah.
So let's go to another. I don't have any more phone calls, but we had people message us through Facebook. So this one's from Wes Strickland. Again, a lot of people know Wes. If you guys don't know Wes, you may know his kids. If you've ever been to any shows, at least on the East Coast or somewhat East Coast, Wes, actually, he's their grandfather. He brings out his grandchildren who are, 6, 7 years old, and they both run the Mecha Kids lanes. So they both have Power Wheels, and they dominate.
That's awesome.
They just kick ass. So we love to see them. And Wes has, I think it's a Camry, a red Camry that he runs, or a Corolla or something like that. So anyway, this question is from Wes. He says, this question is for Ronnie. I see lately you've moved to 8 inches, or up to the 8-inch models. Shouldn't we be calling you Mr. 8-inch now?
No. No, I'm going to...
You haven't grown any?
No, I'm going to remain Mr. 6.5. And, one of the reasons why I moved up to testing 8-inch subwoofers is at one point I had tested like every 6.5 that anybody had produced.
Oh, yeah.
And I ran out of 6.5-inch subs to test. So then
moving up.
So then I said, well, there's I mean, a lot of 8-inch subs to test. But now, more and more manufacturers are putting out 6.5s.
Yeah, Jake, you're going to have to start making some 4-inch subs.
I saw Ronnie
5
tested. You tested what, the Parts Express or Tang Bands or something?
Yes,
Yeah,
Parts
but
Express.
Mr.
I have
4 isn't really
No, it doesn't.
flattering.
No.
That's Bryan.
Thanks, man.
I actually have 6 of those 4-inch Daytons.
Oh boy,
Up
here we
under
go with
the-
that box.
The middle row seat of my Yukon. Yes.
Well, that was a box to build.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, screw that box.
I'm not sure that a 4-inch sub is going to be that popular in car audio. So it's really probably not something I'll
No,
address.
I actually ended up changing it out to. Now I just run it as like mids.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even run them as subs no more.
Jeez, Donnie, what you doing there? You
Getting-
thirsty?
He's getting right.
I'm drinking another beer.
Oh, man.
It's Milwaukee's best.
I still got some of this Captain Morgan left from the Christmas show.
You can have that. I'm going to stick with the best. Actually, it's funny that. Well, never mind. I'm not going to tell that story.
Uh-oh. All right, we'll keep moving on.
We'll skip that story.
All right, so while we're on the 8-inch subject, I'm not sure if a lot of people know that I have 8/8s in my Blazer as far as a no wall setup.
The new V3s, right, Jared?
Yeah, exactly. 8 of them on 2 7500s. It does 58s on music, so pretty loud.
That's freaking insane. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I don't know if a lot of people don't know about it because I haven't played with it much. I'm actually going to bring it back out.
We don't
so.
see you bring it out much.
Hey, Jared.
Yeah.
You need 8 Nightshade 8s when I'm done with them.
Well, hurry up and let's do it.
Yes.
He's like, hey, trade. So another question. This one comes from Steve Herman, who's a big fan of the show. He says, I would like to know what sub has most impressed Ronnie Smith during his tests. So it's a very similar question to the other one, but he wants to know in general. Doesn't have to be Sundown.
Yeah.
What woofer has impressed you most?
I typically avoid these questions like this.
Especially with the owner of Sundown right here.
Hey, we're real
close my ears.
Well, no, to be honest, when you say impressed, that to me that doesn't mean what had the most output.
It's the one that made you drop your draw. Drop
Not
your
your
draw.
drawer, not your
Yeah.
drawer.
Well, I didn't drop my draws.
We have just entered the after part of the show.
All right, let's take our pants off.
Well, Brian's been wanting to.
Believe it or not, and I started buying like cheaper 8-inch subs.
Oh yeah, like Lanzars and shit.
Yes, the Lanzar actually has impressed me the most.
That's
That thing
awesome.
is, what, $20?
I bought 2 of them, shipped to me for $39.95.
Yeah.
Yes. And so far, now I ran them isobaric style because I have a baffle that I can do isobaric. And on a Boss Armor 4K, it did a 148.3.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was under $150 and was almost doing a 49.
Did you do one of those contests with that with the
Yeah, I won it.
under yeah
Yeah, I did. That that was the start of buying the cheaper subs
it's
like
like
that.
under 100
150.
yeah, 150
Yeah, you can only spend $150 on subs and amps or whatever your combination is. And so anyhow, I bought them, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is a $20 sub. What
Did you do
what are we going to get out of
anything-
this?
Did you add any glue to the woofer?
No, sir.
Just straight stock.
Yep, straight stock. Yep.
Wow.
Put it in there. Like I said, we done isobaric, and which was something new to me as well, running an isobaric setup. But anyhow, that Lanzar.
How do you figure your dimension or your enclosure in general with isobaric? Is there a formula? Because I personally don't know.
My personal response to that is fuck if I know.
The general response is an isobaric configuration generally requires half the airspace.
Does one
Yeah.
woofer have to be off phase, or is they both working together in phase? I don't
Well,
remember.
I done a push pull.
Okay.
Cone to cone.
Okay,
So yes, one has to be out of phase.
gotcha.
I didn't know anything about the isobaric setup. It was just something that I wanted to try, and actually had really, really good results with it. So anyhow, I took and tested that sub even further just to see what it would do by itself, and it actually surprised me. It really did. I mean, to be a $20 sub,
Right.
it's got an 1.5-inch coil in it. I've clamped almost 1,500 watts to one. burp.
Yeah.
Now on a burp.
Of course.
Yeah. Now it is not no low end monster by no means whatsoever.
I would assume not.
Yeah.
So many years ago, well, not many years ago, before I started working at Sundown. God damn, Donnie, what you doing, buddy? You all right? Too much beer?
Sorry, I'm fine. No, I'm good. So I'm just soaking it all in.
So
learning.
years ago, the Lanzar, was it an X Max or Lanzar Max or whatever that is?
I think it is X Max.
I purchased the 6.5-inch subwoofer. I purchased 2 of them. This is before I worked at Sundown, before there was any Sundown 6.5s, because I wanted to put them in my wife's vehicle. Well, I purchased them. I sat on them for probably 6 months, and then as I was about to start working on a box for my wife, I noticed one of the woofers was shifted, and I was outside of the warranty. So
they're cheap.
I threw them away.
But now, as far as Sundown sub, the one that's impressed me the most, Jacob hasn't released yet. So, and we kind of just briefly spoke about that a few minutes ago.
Yep.
I won't say any details, Jacob, but I will say the SA8 V4 is very impressive from what I've seen in testing.
I'm excited about it. I'm still working on the spider on it as well.
Yes, it really, really impressed me.
All right, so we had a guy, I guess he just, because he doesn't really have a question. His name is Malcolm Shaw. I don't know where he's based out of, but he runs a shop called Dent Punisher / Sound Lab.
Oh, nice.
And he just wanted to show us his install. You know what? This brings me to something. I kind of want to do maybe like an install of the week thing. Maybe we can send the folks a T-shirt or something like that.
Yeah,
so
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do like an install of the week thing. We'll start off with Malcolm. So Malcolm has an install that's got, it looks like, 4 SA 6.5s. Let's take a look at them real quick.
Hey, you should mention that at the end too, just to remind people. You should mention that at the end.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's clean.
sweet.
Looks good.
Let's go ahead and show the people. There we go.
That's a good looking box.
So yeah, this thing's pretty kick-ass. So this is 4 SA 6.5s, not the X's that we were talking about. I don't know the amplifiers. They look like they could be Sundown amplifiers, but their guts are showing.
No, that looks like that one right there looks like an audio pipe or something similar.
Yeah, he doesn't say what he's got. But I think this is a air reservoir for
looks like
air
it's got air
system.
rod. Yeah.
Let's see. There's another picture right here. There we go.
Oh, it's clean.
So yeah, it's a very nice install. These folks looks like they do some good work. I don't know where they're based out of. Maybe Malcolm can tell us some more next time around. So let's go back here and here. But anyway, Malcolm, shout out to you. You did a fantastic job. And that was it for questions for you guys from the publics.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So let's go back to Jared for a second here. Now, Jared, we didn't really show the people your side of things. Let's do this real quick. Here's Jared's Instagram. It's one loud Jeef. Actually, before we get into that, where did Jeef come from? I remember this. There was a story involved in that.
There is. Back when I used to bass box, one of the judges, Denise, she was always joking with me, and they wrote down Jeep on a piece of paper, but her husband, John Hone, he put Jeef instead of Jeep, and then to this day, Jeef has always stuck, and that's who came up with Bitches Love Jeeps.
It's funny how things like it happen. It is.
Yeah.
And that's
So
where
play with
Jeefworx came
words.
from.
So anyway, here's Jared's Instagram. It's one loud Jeef. If you guys want to search it up, he's got a lot of cool things that he's doing there. Look at that baby face.
Good Lord.
That's not recent, is it?
It probably
2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That was right before I
So
came.
it took you approximately 6 years to grow that, right?
Yeah. If you scroll back up, go down a little bit, there's my single 10 setup.
Right here.
Right below the baby face.
Yeah. That's actually a U10.
That's in the old Derek's old Blazer.
Yep, exactly. The same one I have the 88
It is
in.
loud.
But the U10 did a 54
Look
on
at that
27500. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's what amazes a lot of people is how big your port is. It's basically almost it's very close to the amount of surface area that Cone has.
It's actually a funny story with that sub. I come up here one day because I wanted to do the single 10 challenge for NSPL, and I asked Derek, did they have any subs back there? And he's like, I don't know. So I went and looked and found a U10. It said bad on the box. So I was like, okay, it played, and I figured out why it was bad. It had a hole in surround. So E6000, and it's still going.
There you
Good to
go.
go.
Some Gorilla Tape.
17K later, still taking it. So
So Jared does some fantastic
I've
work.
seen it.
Jared, do you do work for the public? Because I know a lot of people are going to ask. When it comes to your CNC work, let's talk about that part first. CNC work, do you do work for the public?
yeah, I have, yes.
And what do the people need? How do they contact you for such a thing?
Facebook is the easiest way to get up with me.
So Jared Gibson on
Yep.
the Facebooks. And let's see. All right, so we've got. I mean, look at that. That's a lot of work. I mean, you just press a couple buttons, but
awesome.
still.
It's not as easy as pressing
yeah.
a couple buttons, but that's what people say. I'm a
It's a
butt
little
pusher.
more than that as far as the cleanup side of things.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of cool shit on his Instagram.
Don't
Check
you
it out,
supply
folks.
those flanges to dealers or something like that? Those mounting rings?
Yeah. The biggest one is JP at
Yeah.
downforsound.com.
You see
Yeah.
the picture in the middle?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That-
you see what's powering those? The Boss
That-
4Ks.
That was a joke that we done that almost broke a 50 with 2 Boss 4Ks.
Wow. And that's a U10.
That's a SA.
That's the
Oh, that's
SA10
an SA.
there. Yeah, that's when I first started the single 10.
Awesome.
But Jared actually competed with that.
And Jared,
Is that Gorilla Tape all around the
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, no, that's DB tape as they would call it.
DB tape? That's
Yeah.
now,
awesome.
now the name of Jared's, I guess you could say, company is Jeefworx, and you can find it on Facebook as well. Can people message you through there?
Yeah, I'm slow at messaging. I need to actually get on there and update a lot of stuff on it. So I'm sure people have messaged me.
Hey,
I need to
can
get
I-
on there more. So
Last post.
Can I
is
get some background
2017.
on
Yeah,
the
it's-
Beast? I want some background on the Beast. Isn't
Yeah.
that's your thing, right? Well, I remember because I met you at Slamology 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, and and that's when I saw that vehicle. I just want some background on it.
Like I said, we first got it in 2011 is when I started building it. I built it for base boxing. That's when I had the 415 for middleweight.
Wasn't there some kind of issue with the batteries on the bottom?
Right. I've always
With the
had
organizations.
problems. The first issue I had was when I had the bumper full of batteries. I had 9 batteries sticking out for actually a rear bumper. I was given a lot of crap for that, and because it stuck out past the body line. So I removed them. I took them out of the battery rack, and they still said I was illegal.
Did they try to put you in more of an extreme class?
Yeah, they tried to move me up a class. Finally, I got it to where they would pass, and now they changed it again to where you can't have caps outside the truck, which I have. I'm the only one with caps outside, so, but it's all
Gotcha.
good.
No figure.
I got another project for that.
All right. So the Jeep is not going anywhere. You are still progressing with it.
Correct. I'm actually going to let my dad play it. He's going to take it to shows.
shit.
Yeah, I'm actually currently building a van, Astro van. So I'll let my dad play the Jeep. He's all about just opening the doors and playing music. So that's what he wants.
So let's talk about what do you have at the moment? So you got the Beast, which your
Yep.
dad's going to run. I guess this next season coming
Yeah,
up.
whenever
right?
I get the van done.
You've got your Blazer that you
Yeah.
got from Derek. Which I assume you want to bring back out.
Yeah, I
Just
will.
bring-
It don't have heat in it, so I don't drive it. I don't drive it during the winter. So yeah.
And then you've got the reliable Ranger you've had forever.
Yeah, that was actually my first vehicle.
And then you got an Astro you're working with. And I don't know if you said this. I wasn't listening very well. Is the Astro going to be any particular class, like an extreme, or are you going to stick with a street stock, or?
I'm shooting for a Super Street X, and then whatever class I fall in for subsonic suicide.
Okay.
But I want to do 70s on music, so
Yeah.
Ooh, on music.
yeah,
That's painful.
I'm not sitting in it.
It's kind of like JY and Kicker. They got the what the hell is it? The Cube.
Yeah.
That thing's, I think, hitting 70s or close to 70 on music. That thing's ridiculous, and they've been working on it too and trying to progress with it as well. So that's another vehicle for you guys to check out.
Yeah, I want to try to do 69.9 base race. I don't know if anybody's has actually done 69.9.
That'd be cool.
But
Hell yeah! Well, guys, is there anything that you want the folks to know? Paul, I mean, it's just a big blank. Paul.
Buy Jared speaker rings at downforsoundshop.com.
so,
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to share is I don't know the specs of the sniper box, so please quit asking.
Specs are it works.
Yeah, it works.
They change constantly.
Does someone know the specs of this mic?
I do. Well, me and him both.
I don't know.
okay.
I have the
It's one of
drawings, and I'm
those.
not
Yeah,
figuring it
gotcha.
up. So.
Not for public.
Nope.
Yeah, that's just for us.
All right. Well, everybody, see that camera right there? Let's say bye to the folks. Again, thank you all for
Bye,
watching.
everyone.
And have a wonderful evening.
It's the loudest show around. Sundown After Dark with your host Bryan Chamberlain. Presented by Sundown Audio.